It includes localized pain such as low back pain, knee pain, shoulder pain, and even general joint pain. I am your host, and I am El Kersey, and I am elated to introduce you to our second speaker of the session, Tremaine Bowman. When he was a young man, he had dreams of NFL stardom. An injury and an attempt to come back too soon stole those dreams. A strong pivot to help other players and become a man of the cloth has led his once powerhouse on the field to become a powerhouse on the sidelines. So we want to go ahead and welcome back Tremaine Bowman to the stage. All right. There we go. So
All right.
welcome. And you can take the stage, sir.
Well, thank you so much, El, for this invitation to come out and share with the people of Master Your Recovery in the summit. I think it is a wonderful thing that you are doing and spreading the word and sharing with people how to master recovery. Just a little bit about myself. I am a husband. I am a father. I'm also a pastor. I'm a coach. And so I've seen a broad spectrum of people who participate in athletics. So those who participate from a recreational level to those who participate on a high school level and have even helped people become college level players and professional players as well. I've been coaching in the high school level for about 14 years, consisting of football, basketball, and track and field. Um, I participated in high school sports. I was a collegiate athlete at Charleston Southern University. And so, and I'm going to share my story with you guys today. And even with the injuries that I had in my high school career, I was still able to attain a level of the collegiate level of playing sports. And so that's just a little bit of my background and who I am now. I used to be that athlete, that alpha male athlete. I'm not going to say I was the best athlete on the team, on any of my teams, but I was really good, good enough to get looked at from a few schools, um, and have an opportunity again to play sports at the collegiate level. Um, I consider myself a community leader in the Charleston area, which is where we're based out of, Summerville, South Carolina, the Charleston area in which I coach. And so I think it's important to be able to talk about difficult subjects, right? And to have a good space, a good place to be able to share those things. So again, I thank God for this summit, and I wish that I had kind of something like this to help steer me in the right direction or a better direction when I was participating in sports as a high school athlete. I consider myself a late bloomer. I really didn't start playing sports until I was in the seventh grade. I started playing football. As a kid, I was obese, so I didn't meet the recreational league's weight requirements. I was, about 250, 260 pounds at, sixth, seventh grade. And so, but by the time I got to the seventh grade, I had to slim down to probably about 240, about 5'10". So I was an abnormally large kid for like that age. I didn't continue to grow at that rate, but at that time I was a pretty big kid. And even from playing in middle school, I played with some phenomenal athletes. Athletes that eventually went on to become the number one and number two linebackers in the nation. And they were brothers, playing with other collegiate level football players. Like I said, I was a heavier kid, but I loved the game of basketball. Didn't make the middle school basketball team. But then it also led me to finding track and field. And that was a sport that I excelled in pretty quickly, and throwing the shot put and discus. And so, those things contributed to my self-esteem, to my self-efficacy, how I viewed myself. And that was largely through the lens of how other people view me as well. I found a lot of value in being able to contribute to a team. I found a lot of value in the praise that you got for performing well and doing well in sports. And so it became a huge part of my life. I worked really hard from my middle school to my high school career. Um, Track helped me, football helped me lose the weight and shed the pounds. So I went from about 240 as a as a seventh and eighth grader to I was 185 pounds as a freshman coming into high school, playing high school football. And so I had a lot of different transformations that occurred over the years. And I got to say that sports really helped change my life. And so I was given to it. I was the ultimate competitor. I would ride and die for the opportunity to be on the field, to compete, to be in the ring, to compete. And like I said, I was actually a four-sport athlete in high school: football, basketball, wrestling, and track and field. And so, like, I consider myself that I've been a really, really good athlete. I was ranked in the state number one a few times in track and field. I was ranked in the state for wrestling. I wasn't the greatest basketball player. Everybody has hoop dreams, right? And so I thought I was pretty good. But again, in football, I had the opportunity to play at the next level, at least get looked at. I didn't get any official offers after my sports injury. But I can fast forward a little bit. Freshman year, everything was fine. I lost the weight, so I was moving very agile, picking up speed and agility, those type of things, moving fantastically. Sophomore year, moved up to varsity, became a starter. And that just it inflates your head, make you think you can do everything and anything in the world. We ended up winning the state championship 1998 against Baseburg Leesville, playing at Williams-Brice Stadium, and that feeling was amazing. Getting to play at a college stadium, you get to play in front of thousands and thousands of fans. And coming from a smaller school, that was something that I had never really experienced before. Fast forward to the summer of that year, I started going to football camps, and the coaches started taking notice. They were like, "Oh man, your first step is amazing. I could get off the ball so well and rush the passer." And so, it gave me the mindset coming from an impoverished situation that I could make it out of my current situation and really do something with my life. Before that, I hadn't really thought about it, hadn't really considered it. I was just always pretty good at a lot of different stuff. And so I took it even more serious, and I started putting weight back on, putting muscle back on, hitting the weights really hard. But then my junior year, got a pinched nerve in my neck and in my shoulder from taking on two blockers. Um, so that kind of hampered my ability to go. And I heard, I think it was Erica that spoke earlier. I even had a similar situation playing against a team where I hit a guy so hard that I felt like my eyes had went cross. I was cross-eyed for a second, and I had to come out the game, went to the sideline, and shake it off. And as soon as like I gained my vision back and it was right, I went right back on the field and started playing again. So definitely the ultimate competitor in my eyes. Fast forward to my senior year, a rivalry game. And this is where my life really took a drastic turn. Playing in a rivalry game against Abbeville High School. They are still a powerhouse in South Carolina to this day. We had never beaten them before, so we were really, really competing as seniors. This was a goal. We wanted to beat this team, and I had got moved into the interior of the line, got high load on a play, and I tore my Achilles tendon. And at that point, my life changed forever. It changed forever. I couldn't lift up my foot, and move it. And I knew something was wrong. This was not something that I could go to the sideline and shake off and get back in the game. It wasn't something that was going to be okay, in 10 minutes. It wasn't something that was going to be okay that following week. So when I got the diagnosis that next morning, um, I knew that I had to figure out what I was going to do. They told me I had two options. because I tore it, but it was a partial tear, but significant enough to where I could either have surgery and my season would be over, or I could opt to get it put in a cast. Obviously, I have to walk on crutches, and then have the potential, have the possibility that I would be able to come back that season and play. And so I chose to try to come back that season and play. Um, I did everything I could. I rested when I was in the cast. Obviously, you can't do much, but I was out there trying to ride the bike, trying to stay in shape. Obviously being at practice every single day, watching my team, being involved, being engaged. Trying to coach up some of the younger players. That's what good teammates do. And so when I finally got my cast off, and they were like, "Yeah, you can go ahead and start your PT." I started my physical therapy. I was going in the morning before school to get in the cold whirlpool, to ice, to try to do TheraBand work and all that good stuff to get the strength back so I could return to play. I would go in at lunchtime. I would not even eat lunch and go to the training room and get treatment, trying to get back. After school, I would go and try to and get treatment, hitting that cold whirlpool, doing all those things, doing everything that the trainers asked me to do to try to get back to play for the remainder of my senior season. And even after all of that, again, I was the ultimate competitor. I had known about, the great NFL players who played injured, who played, hurt, that would go out there and just do what they had to do and find a way. That was the stuff that legacies were made of. Can you overcome the obstacle? Can you brave the elements? Can you resist the urge to shrink back in the crucial moments? Can you work your way in order to get and achieve your goals? And so I did that. I bought all the way into it, not realizing that high school sports was just that. It was high school sports. You got 4, possibly 5 years to do the different sports, and then that chapter of your life is going to be over. But I did what I thought I was supposed to be doing, and I worked my way back. Practiced 2 games, got cleared to return to play. Practiced twice before our first playoff game. First playoff game, senior year. Didn't start. I wasn't 100%. I was still limping around at practice, but I was out there. I was excited. The testosterone, the energy felt so good. Got back, played in that playoff game, one play. One play. And after that one play, I messed up the ligaments in that same leg around my ankles, and my explosiveness has never recovered to this day, and I've never been the same. Was it worth it? What was it worth risking my future for one play? I think if I had been 100%, obviously it's a no-brainer. But that one play showed me that I couldn't put all of my eggs in one basket, and that there were other things that I could contribute and other things I could do. But for that one play, was all the rehab and was all the time and the effort and the energy, was it worth it? Because when I re-injured my leg, nobody patted me on the back. That praise that I was looking for, that excitement I was looking for, it wasn't there. Everybody was just disappointed that I couldn't play. So did I really lift my team up, or did I let them down? We ended up losing that game 3-0. We ended up losing that game 3-0. Was it worth it? And so I ended up not getting a college offer to play football. Didn't get a college offer. Uh, had some interest for wrestling. Obviously, I couldn't play basketball. Didn't have any explosiveness, so I missed an opportunity there as well because In basketball, we made it to the state championship. I played 2 years before. In basketball, we made it to the state championship my senior year. Couldn't play. Couldn't play. I wrestled instead, and I had tape from the tip of my big toe all the way up to my kneecap. I'm out there trying to wrestle, trying to contribute, trying to compete. For what? So I leave that early to go into track and field, which was my second best sport. Um, Come in, I'm highly ranked, top five, uh, and ready to go, thinking I was ready to go. And I was bombing it right from the beginning. I did not have my explosiveness. I couldn't understand. I thought I should just be able to get back out there and just do what I have been doing for 5 years, compete at the highest level. And instead, I was dragging. I didn't have the quickness to transition from one part of the circle to the next part of the circle. Didn't have the explosiveness to finish big. And so, but and it led me to question God. I'd always been in church my whole life, but it led me to question God to say, "Well, God, you gave me all this talent, and this ability. You got me ranked number one in the state again this year. After all of this, and I still don't have a college offer. I still don't know what my future is going to be. I still don't even know what I'm doing. I did all of this, and I'm going to be stuck here. I'm going to be stuck in my hometown. You know, can't do anything." But eventually I did get a college offer to do track and field and to do football, as a kind of a preferred walk on. But it was really they were giving me money for track and field to do both. And I got to college. I signed. I got to college. Started going through the treatment process, the rehab process, and it never took. So I went from high school rehab to college rehab, and it still didn't help because I believe they were focusing on the wrong thing. And so every year after that happened, I re-injured my ankles every single year. So by the time I got to being a sophomore in college, I was ready to stop doing track and just I said I might as well go ahead and try to play football again. But by that time, the coach had changed. New coach that came in didn't know me and wanted me to walk on. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And so that was virtually the end of my football career. The thing that I love most, my first love. And so I say all of that to say that this summit is important because oftentimes we don't have the right people in our ear to tell us that it might not be worth it. I might not have been the number one recruit in the nation. I might not even been top 50 or 100 in the state, but there was a legitimate chance that I could go and play at the next level. I was big enough. I was strong enough. I might not have been tall enough. I only grew to 6 foot. I might not have been tall enough, but I was big enough. I was strong enough. I was quick enough. I had the goods. The coaches told me. But when I got injured, I did not get an offer. I did not get, not even to the smaller schools that were recruiting me. I did not get an offer. And so I see kids now as a coach 14 years later. And again, I've coached kids to go to every level except the NBA, right? I've coached NFL players coming through high school. I've even coached an Olympian, right? Raven Saunders, who just won the silver medal in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, just won a silver medal. I coached her in high school, got her started in her track and field career. Like, and so I've seen athletes at every level and what it takes to get there. And I'm actually blessed, and I thank God that I did not get there because obviously there was a turn in my life to where I think I probably would have been very selfish. I would have been big headed. I was already big headed because I knew I was good, but I probably would have been really big headed about the whole situation. And instead, God has led me to a place where I can impart and input the stuff that I know. And I had good coaches, and so I feel like I became a good coach to kids who needed it and who were able to take it and go to the next level. And I'm still coaching now. I just retired from coaching football last year. I'm thinking this is going to be my last year coaching basketball this year. I do have an AAU team, and I have a number of girls who are college players or who made it to college over the last 10 years in playing basketball. like I said, NFL, Olympics, and all that good stuff. So I think it's made me a better coach to where I can coach with a sense of endearment and a sense of sensitivity to the athlete problem, right? Because we want to be competitors, we want to contribute, we want to do the things that we feel like makes you a great athlete. And so, having gone through the things I've gone through, I'm able to coach with that level of sensitivity where I'm going to tell you that you got to do what's best for you. That you have to think about your future, that you have to think about your dreams and your aspirations, and not to be short-sighted in what those dreams and aspirations are, because your dreams are futuristic. You know, it may not be a dream for you right now, unless I'm in a season and my dream is to win the state championship. Well, if you're injured, how do you do that? Can you realistically expect to win at the rate and the level that you're in now with your body not being whole, right? And so we have to take it very serious. We have to take it with a great sense of gravity, right? That you only get one body. And yeah, you can have a knee replacement, and yeah, you can have a hip replacement, and all those different things. You can have Tommy John surgeries. You can do all those different things, but you only get one body. And what I caution young athletes with is I tell them this, and I'm very honest. I say you have to live with yourself after whatever decision you make. You got to be able to live with yourself. Now, if you can live with being hunched over and, what I'm saying, not being able to walk good, hey, I don't want to tell you you can't when you think you can. But if your body shows you that you can't, you have to listen to it. You have to listen to what it says. Now, those are athletes at the high school level. But I also see children at the recreational level who don't have the mindset and don't have the maturity to really think about their future. There are certain things that I've never heard children say. And I'm talking about kids, up to 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. I never uh, I never hear them think so far or have a plan about how they plan to get to the NBA or the NFL or whatever it is that their athletic aspirations are. They never have a plan. They just know they want to get there. And what they think is that the way I've seen it done before or the way I've heard it done before is the way to get there. And so we put on for even our youngest athletes that you have to be tough. And I agree. Yeah, you have to be tough, but you also have to be honest, and you also have to be smart. And if you're willing to put the work in on the field, that you have to legitimately be willing to put the work in your rehab and your recovery process. Those young people, those children, they're not going to tell you my leg is hurting and something ain't right. They're not going to tell you that there's a clicking in my knee. They're not going to tell you, oh, I can't, they may say, oh, I can't really bend my finger, but you might think it's jammed. And so you don't really pay attention to the signs that this might be a serious thing, right? And so by the time they get to me on the varsity level, or even at JV, even JV level, by the time they get to me, I'm looking at them in tryouts, or I'm looking at them in AAU tryouts, or whatever the case may be, and I'm saying, why are they running like that? Why is their movement disjointed? Why, is there a lack of continuity as they transition between phases of running? And that's a telltale sign. No matter what sport you're playing, well, there are a few sports like golf, maybe bowling, you don't run, swimming, obviously. But if you're playing a sport where you are running, it's a telltale sign. When you can't run with fluidity, when you don't have a coordination to your movements, it made me thinking, well, what happened to them when they were younger that causes them to move the way they're moving? And why wasn't it addressed? And now you're looking at the coach like, why my baby didn't make the team? Well, maybe they should have stopped playing when they got injured at the YMCA league and really got that thing looked at and taken care of before we push them to just be tough and just go out there, you know. And so I think there's a level of care and concern um, that goes into what we do as coaches and what we do as parents, and ultimately for the players to really be concerned about yourself and your future goals that may not have anything to do with athletics. You know, I touted the athleticism, but I was a National Honor Society member. I graduated with a 3.5 GPA without trying. No effort academically at all. And so, you know, there was certainly more to contribute than just the sports, but you know, those pats on the back feel so good. The rah rah feels so good. The celebration, it gives us something that we don't get enough of for doing other things. And so we push our athletes to play injured and to play hurt. And there's a quote that says, I think it might be Teddy Roosevelt that said, "Only you know when you're giving 100%. Everybody else just knows when you don't." Right? And that, you know, I used to use that quote all the time. You know when you're giving 100%. You know, other people are just on the outside looking in. They don't know what your body feels like. You know, they don't know the pain that you might be going through. They might not even know that you pop in multiple ibuprofen, you know, before you even go to a practice. They don't know, you know, that you like can't sleep at night. You know, they don't know about all of those things. All they know is that it looks like you're going half speed. And so as a coach, I even had to get out of judging and communicate with my players even more. Like, you have to be honest with me. And I have girls who are tough as nails who don't want to tell me that they're hurt or they're injured because they think they're going to lose their spot, or they think, you know, the team is going to, you know, look down on them and stuff like that. And guess what? Guess what? That's a part of life. That's a part of life. But if people only value you for your performance, you got to change your circles. You got to change your circles, because at the end of the day, you got to be happy with yourself. You got to be able to live with yourself, and you only get one body, right? You only get one body. So diagnosed injuries, undiagnosed injuries, I think we have to take them seriously. It could change your life. Um, you know, like I might play pickup ball now, and I'm not gonna jump. Like, mentally, from all of the injuries, reoccurring injuries, like, I can still hoop. You know, I can still hoop, but will I get hurt again? Is my ankle strong enough? And I got a job now. You know, I don't want to miss the money, so it ain't like I'm just, you know, going to high school or in college where I can miss class, or, you know, as adults, you know, you get in those real life situations. And again, you got to be able to live with yourself. So I think, again, we got to take those injuries seriously, take your hurt seriously, because the hurt might be an indicator that you are actually injured. And if you are actually injured, then you have to make a business decision, right? You have to make a business decision, but a business decision does not trump a personal decision, right? It does not trump a personal decision. And don't let people push you into having to make that decision. I know the money's good, but you only get one body, right? You only get one body. And I think that's a message for, you know, so many people that don't make it to the pros. Because when you play professional ball and you're making millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can afford to get that surgery to get your body back together on some level. But if you don't make it, now you may have a lifelong struggle without the aid of somebody like L, or people who will help you to master your recovery. So, with that being said, that's all I really have to say. I'd love to take some questions from you guys if you have any. Um, like I said, I've been around this, you know, sports for 14 years. So we're gonna bring L back, and thank y'all for your time.
All right. So the first comment that we got is, You really love playing football. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I think she's getting back on.
I'm on. Can you see me?
I can now.
Okay, good. All right. So I just had to play with the buttons a little bit. Okay, so what I said was, one of the comments was, you really loved Capital playing football.
Yeah. Listen, football is my first. Football is my first love. Like that, and you know, it is really common when you're a bigger kid. You know,
Hmm.
big kids always want to be receivers. You know, they always want to play quarterback. They always want to do those type of things. So, you know, I had a ton of athletic ability even as a big kid. When I was 275, you know, 280 going in 275 going in, thinking I was going to play football my freshman year, and like everybody used to comment, like, "Man, how do you move like the way you move?" I've always had athleticism, so I was always kind of unique, you know, as a football player. I had a lot of size, but I had a lot of athleticism as well, and so you know, people, you know, comment, you know, how in the world can you do the things you're doing? I don't know. I guess I got my feet from my mama. I definitely got my shoulders from my daddy, you know, and so you know, genes just kicked in, and I was able to just do stuff. So football was like that first place where I got the recognition that I was a little different
Mm.
than other people. So yeah,
Okay,
I
all
love
right.
playing football.
So since you love football so much, how long, now I know this had to be a challenge. How long did it take you to get over the fact that you were not going to make it to the NFL?
Woo! I had, man. Listen, I had graduated college. So the Achilles happened in 2000. Graduated 2001. Went to school, and it was probably 2010. It was probably a decade before I really came to grips with it. And I answered the call to preach in 2007. And so, you know, I was preaching and I was really wrestling with God about what had happened in my life because, you know, I saw other people go that couldn't couldn't do nothing with me. You know, like people I won MVP awards over, people that, you know, I was just flat out better than. And I saw them go and I was like, ain't no way, Lord. Ain't no way. And so it was at least a decade that it took me to kind of wrestle with it and get over it and kind of transition into doing what I do now. But my pastor at that time, he told me about other things that were going on in my life. He's like, "Hey, man, you just got to recalibrate. You got to recalibrate and readjust to what's going on in your life and what God's calling you to do now." So,
Yeah, I think that that's something that we have to really understand as, uh, I got a feedback. I'm not sure where it's coming from. Hold on, y'all know me. I'm all anal about my tech. Okay, so let me try to turn off my microphone. I'll turn it back on. Give me 1 second.
hmm
Okay. Well, that didn't fix it. All right. Sorry, sound people. Y'all have to figure it out. I tried what I could do from here.
we
Okay.
hear you well on this end. It's not that loud.
Okay. All right. So sorry about that. Okay. So what I took from your story and what I think, and I'm hoping that other people take from your story is that, we can love the game and we can love being part of the team and we can love all the different things that's happening in the world. But the fact is that you don't get another you, you know? Yes, they can the only thing that they can actually replace is joints, and that's kind of
hmm
I would say that is a very challenging experience for anyone to go through because I am
hmm
always helping people after that. But they can't replace muscles, not yet. They
Right.
can't replace, things, like if you lose your nose or you lose your ears, you have to wear a prosthetic for the rest of your life.
hmm
And there's all different things that happen. You can And so, okay, so in my understanding, and this is new to me for this year, really, of the extreme that players are willing to play, right? So not only so when you are hurt or injured, you have to do things like you said, take the Advil before you go, or the ibuprofen before you go out, and do all
Mhm.
those different things just to be able to make it to the field.
Mhm.
Then you have to do all these things to kind of protect yourself, to kind of make it past that, right? So then
Mhm.
what? The next question is, if you're protecting this thing, you're leaving something uncovered. So you might be protecting your shoulder from getting
Mhm.
somebody hit you in the side and they like rupture your intestines.
L, listen. I always tell this for emphasis. I was taped up when I got back. They took the cast off. The cast covered from my toe all the way up to my kneecap. When the hard cast came off, they taped me up from my toe to my kneecap. That should have been a sign right there.
Yes.
I went from a hard cast to a soft cast,
Yeah.
and it didn't help. I didn't tear my Achilles tendon again, but all the ligaments around my ankle, the tendons around my ankle, like I messed them up every year after that.
Well, and it's because, they focused on getting your Achilles to heal, but they didn't fix the collateral damage that always happens in an injury. That's one of
Yep.
my big. That's one of the things I'm constantly talking about is collateral damage, and that's
Mhm.
really what happens even still today. When people are when you get injured, you go to the doctor and they're like, okay, so this is the thing that's broken. In the medical community, that's what they do. They fix broken and diseased things. They don't fix healthy things. So if
Right.
your collateral damage is not to a degree of medical intervention, they aren't paying any attention to it.
Right.
So that's why this whole summit exists, is because
Mhm.
we have to figure out how to partner people like me and like a lot of the other and all the other people who are coming to talk about integrative things, and
Mhm.
which one of these types of things is what you need to do based on your injury, right? Because
Right.
there's a lot of things out there that can help you. So yes, the whirlpool was a good thing, but it wasn't enough, right, for you. And the all the different, people do like cryo and different kind of stuff like that.
Mhm.
But that wasn't enough. Why? Because everybody's body is different. And at
Mhm.
some point, you probably had already. I'm gonna talk my whole speech before it's my turn, right? But the whole thing is like you have to really know how the energy, like every damage is called, every trauma is caused by energy, right? So everything's energy. So how far did that energy move through your body once the impact occurred, right? And
Right.
so you got the external impact, and then you have the impact of the tear or the break, and then that takes a whole nother, that takes that initial impact to a whole nother level, right? So
Mhm.
everything, you have to really be able to understand like all the different layers of what's happening in an injury. And I hate that you didn't get to make it to the NFL, but we got questions. First
Yeah.
question
Yeah. Yeah.
is, how do you have how how do you have to help others let go of what they want from sports?
All the time, like because things happen. I've seen so many athletes that get injured, just like I did senior year. I see some that get injured a lot earlier. I've had uh, talks with young people who've had multiple concussions and had so many concussions that they couldn't continue on in their playing career. And so what we always try to do is we try to affirm the value of the person apart from the sport. And it's so important because everybody has just an intrinsic value that that it may not be unlocked until they start playing sports where they can feel it and they can see it, but it's there. And as coaches, if all we see is what a player can do on the field, then we've really missed it as a coach. And so my best athletes, I got one that's playing soccer now. She could have played college basketball. She chose to play soccer. I have one now that when she figured out that she was an amazing person who loved to help other people, that is when she played her best basketball and played her best soccer. I got a kid that just signed to play at Newberry a week or two ago. Just signed to play at Newberry. It wasn't until I partnered him with a younger athlete to help him along the way with his academics, that he really found his value and how much he loved helping other people and being accountable and being a leader. So all the time, I try, and every coach is not like this because everybody's not invested. And that's part of what I do as a youth pastor, as a pastor, is that I have to see beyond just what people do overtly, because none of us are just what we do overtly. You know, we are so much more than what people see. And so I try to see that, and I absolutely try to help them, not even necessarily let go, because I didn't let go of the passion that I had. I just became a coach. I'm still very passionate about football. I'm still very passionate about basketball and track and field, which is why I was able to pour into other people. So, you just have to recalibrate and readjust how you give that energy back. And if you can help people do that, then you serve them well.
Awesome. Okay. So a question that also came in is, have you found something that you love just as much as football? I would say, what would you say to that?
Man, absolutely. First of all, I love Jesus. I do, and I try to live that out every single day and everything that I do. But with that comes youth ministry. I actually majored in youth ministry as an undergrad at CSU, and I'm completing my master's in youth leadership, graduating April 30th. And so, working with young people is a real passion of mine, and it's not just in sports, but I have a mentoring group, the Community Development Mission, designed to help people in communities. We do summer camps. We mentor, we partner kids with mentors, stuff like that. So I'm all about helping kids and helping families. I'm extremely passionate. That's all I want to do. That's all I do all day as a pastor. That's all I do. That's all I do is try to help people and connect them with Jesus.
Well, that is super, super cool. Everybody's loving that answer. Okay, so the last one and the last thing we're going to say before you go is I want you to kind of elucidate on players when they are young, because you
Mm,
talked about this in earlier, and this how when they're young they get injured and it's ignored for the most part, and then how
mm,
that becomes something that festers, and then by the time they make it to the higher levels, even to pro, that injury is now affecting them because it was never addressed early.
right. Yeah, and listen, um, I consider my story a shoulda, coulda, woulda story, right? And we probably heard them 1,000 times. We probably heard I could have made it to the league. Everybody got a cousin that could have made it to the league, right? Everybody has a nephew. Everybody has a niece or a daughter or auntie or somebody that could have made it to the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
But doesn't that speak volumes? That there are so many people with so much potential to get there. There's so many young kids that show that potential early, right? They show that potential early, and they may be the star of their league, and they're getting the trophies, and they're getting the plaques, and the MVPs, and all of that stuff because they have potential. And Bob Knight said something that is a famous quote. He says, I don't want potential, I want performance." And so it is the kids that actually go out there and perform that get the most attention. Well, one of the most polarizing things for a young person is praise. You want to get a young person to do something, give them some praise. You want to see them excel academically, give them some praise and reinforce it with praise over and over and over again, and you can see tremendous change happen. Well, when you praise a kid for going out and playing well, and that's all you ever say to them, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to play regardless. They're going to play hard for mama and for daddy and everybody else yelling in the stand. It don't matter if my leg about to fall off.
Mm.
Think about the times that you may have seen a kid fall down on the ground in the sport, and we're talking about when they're falling down or when they're contact. They're called compact injuries, and they compact breaks and bones and stuff like that is happening. And if it's not so obvious, it'll go untreated, right? If you can't see the bones sticking out the leg, oh, Johnny, get back out there and keep playing, right? And those kids, they will do it. They will run through a wall for you. And after the game, nobody's talking about that fall again. Nobody's talking about, the hurt. Nobody's talking about the fact that something didn't look right or your leg was twisted back kind of funny. Like, nobody's talking about that. All they're talking about, oh, you won the game, you lost the game, you played good, or I wish I had played better. Nobody's talking about that thing that happened in the game that could be something that was serious, because kids got way more energy and way more willpower than we might want to give them credit for. Willpower, we know they got the energy, but the willpower to get back out there and do, like, it's tremendous. They can do whatever they want to do, and they will go back out there and do it. So you get to the next level where somebody is getting paid to assess your child and allow them on their team, like me. And I'm sitting and I'm looking at what in the world is going on. Why are they shooting the ball? Why can this kid cannot get the ball over his head? The ball got to go over your head to go in the basket, okay? It's got to go over your head to go in the rim is 10 foot tall. I don't care if you're 2 feet or whether you're 8 feet, the ball got to go above your head to go in the basket. Why does kid shoot like this and can't get his shoulders up over his head to shoot the ball? That's a problem. Kid want to play quarterback. Well, why he throwing the ball like this instead of being able to get the ball to square up and drop it and snap it down and get a spiral on the ball? Why? Why are these things? Why can they not follow through and their hands are always going like this? Why can you see little cricket fingers like that? I've never had a cast on my pinky finger, but look how crooked it is. Nobody ever talked about that. That happened when I was a young kid, and it's been like that ever since.
Oh,
I can't even straighten it out. Nobody talks about it. It is get back out there and do it. And kids do not have the language to come to you and tell you exactly what's going on. You might have to ask some questions. You might have to bring it back up because it will go untreated. And it's only going to hurt them in the future from being able to get there, because it's easier to train a child than it is to train a 15, 16, 17-year-old who's gotten accustomed to doing it the way they're doing it. And they don't feel like they have the time to commit to trying to do it the right way. See it all the time. All the time.
well, Tremaine, I am going to let that be the end of that, because that was powerful statements made, and people are definitely needing to know this. I'm sure that people are. We got a yep, so true on here. There's, I'm sure that there's people. This is being streamed on many platforms, so people are definitely going to be able to see this and understand that you need to be there for your child. You need to be there and understand that yes, little Johnny can make it to the NFL, but you want little Johnny to make it to the NFL, to the Olympics, to wherever, and be able to do so and have a good body and good health.
That's
And
right.
and after, when retirement time comes, all the money that you've made, you still need to be able to enjoy it. All right. So we are so grateful to you for coming and sharing your wisdom. I am sure that there will be questions that will come along that we will need to reach back out to you to get answers for. And I thank you so much. We are going to take our break. We got a 2 minute break coming up, and then you guys get to listen to me talk some more.
All right. Thank you, El. Thank you
Thank
for
you
having
so
me. Thank
much.
you all for listening.